Hey, there's still time to join the cycling men and women of leisure this cycling season.
There is. We've got two great events left for this cycling season. The first one's going to be on July 19th. We are doing the Rain Ride. And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it is a one-day ride across the state of Indiana. 160 miles. Going to be a lot of fun. Certainly can join us there. You can check that out at rainride.org. And then our last ride of the season is going to be the Bourbon Country Burn. Yes, we're returning back to the Bourbon Country. That is September 26th through the 28th. And you can check that out at bourbon-country-burn.com. So check those out and come and join us.
The two events have two different styles of riding. The Rain Ride is 1 day, one way, 160 miles one way. But if you're looking for something sort of wagon wheel style, I've heard it called, you only have to set up camp once at the Bourbon Country Burn, and then each day that has different mileage routes depending on what you're looking for. They sometimes 30, 60, one day there is a century if that's what you want. Great times. We've been there multiple times. We heard it might be the last year. We don't know that for sure. Who knows? Someone might buy it. But just in case it was going to be the last year, the cycling men and women of leisure needed to be there.
Absolutely.
Well, it's time for Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure, the podcast for cyclists who understand that riding is not just about getting to the destination, but the experience along the way. Now, here are the original Cycling Men of Leisure, Adam and Michael.
Welcome back to Road Adventures of Cycling Men of Leisure. I, of course, am Adam, and I am lucky enough to be joined with my good friend, Mr. Michael Sharp. Hello, sir.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, you started part one with a little fire water.
Well,
now you
didn't notice. I kind of always have a little drink. It gets me in the leisure mood, especially after a long day of, working at the office and things of that nature. A little fire water kind of sets the tone for me. So, yeah.
How was the commute today?
Well, 13 steps.
Mm-hmm.
No traffic today. The cats and the dogs stayed out of the way. So no accidents. It was beautiful. No construction. It's wonderful.
No animals were hurt in the making of this.
No animals were hurt in the filming of my thing. Now, I will say there is construction because as you can see behind me, I haven't got this room done yet, but I had to take a week off to go riding. So that's where we're at. But I do have the acoustic panels. They're partially, I just got to get them up and fixed and I can start getting stuff put back.
So yesterday was National Bourbon Day. I mean Father's Day.
It was both. Why can't you have both?
You can have both.
I did.
Both of them. You can have both of them. But did you have a good Father's Day?
I had a fantastic day. I got up in the morning with breakfast in bed from my daughter, then went over and spent some time with my father. And then I took my mother out to a little play. You've been to it. It's called the Schoolhouse. It's an old one-room schoolhouse. They've turned into a speakeasy and that kind of thing. Had a couple drinks over there. And then we went out and did a little antique shopping.
Nice. That schoolhouse is the only good place to go to school. I mean, when I was a kid, I went to military school. I wonder why. I'm sure that's pretty obvious.
And then Schoolhouse rocks,
That's right. Was Jack Black there? I'm just kidding.
But it was good, and I found some great things at the antique store, so that was kind of cool.
Cool.
Found a lot of 1933 World's Fair from Chicago postcards, so I was excited about that because I collect that kind of stuff. I collect World Fair memorabilia, and I collect postcards, so I got a twofer. It was kind of cool.
Speaking of antiques, this was not planned, but let me show you something.
Okay.
I got to move my microphone. Can you see my Michigan? I'm trying here. There.
That appears. Now, I also collect license plates. I do not have one of those until I come to your place and steal yours.
No.
That appears to be, I'm going to say, a 1976 Michigan bicentennial license plate.
That is correct. I recently, in April, had a birthday. I am a bicentennial baby. And for those of you doing math at home, that means I'm 49.
Do I need to salute or stand at attention or something?
No.
Okay.
A little drum and bugle corps, if you don't mind. But a family member who I golf with, Don, gave me that. He said that, I know you do your show on YouTube as well. And he said, I thought you might like this. And I do. I love it. And it is now kind of one of my tchotchkes or one of my pieces back there for the background for the show. So
I think it's cool. I love the states because I collect license plates. I have several of them, many of them hanging up in my garage. And the bicentennial was a great year because a lot of states did specific tags just for that year. And there's a lot of red, white, and blue, and it's just kind of cool to see the bicentennial ones.
He always gives me some. Boy, we are really taking this show off the rails right away.
That's okay. I mean, it's about the conversations. It's about our adventures, and here we go. So
he also gave me a 1976 proof set, silver proof set, which was pretty nice to go along with my plate. He said, "I thought you might want some money," and so he gave me a nice.
Look at that! The $50,
a quarter,
the quarter, and the $1.
Yeah. So good guy.
And those are all silver, right?
They're all silver, solid silver. Yep. Uncirculated. So bicentennial, very nice gift to go along with my license plate. So
cool.
Okay.
That's exciting. All right.
Getting back on the rails. So
get out of the rabbit hole. Let's keep rolling. So what are we talking about this episode? I think we got some unfinished business.
We do. Now I want to send a small apology. We did not bookend the show with since we knew it was going to be a two-parter. We did not have a listener spotlight, but we will. We will.
I've got one lined up. It's a good one.
Oh, great. The last time we were together, we left a little teaser of the following clip. All right. Well, here we are. We're at the AMP kart racing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
We just got off the track, and I'd have to say. That obviously I won.
Cliffhanger.
And we'll just keep moving on. So,
you said you won?
I'm sorry. Where's that censor button? No.
We need to hear the official part of it.
All right, here we go.
Because I know,
Fine, here it comes.
Okay.
Say you beat me by 4/100ths of a second.
But
what did I just say?
What was that? You said, Adam said, quote, you beat me by 4/100ths of a second. So he's saying that Michael beat him in the go-kart racing.
Yeah, I'd have to say you beat me by 4/100ths of a second.
but what was that?
Oh.
Show's over. Michael won. We can all just call it good.
All right, I'll play the actual clip. Here it comes. Yeah, I'd have to say you beat me by 4/100ths of a second.
But what was that? What did you say? I did what?
I led how many laps?
But at the end, where it counts, I did what?
Yeah. Well, I figured this was coming, but that's all right.
You actually led the whole way. Now I was in a cart in front of you to begin with.
Yeah.
Just to start off, and then once the green flag went down, you immediately spurred out there ahead of me, and I was like, oh crap, I'm in trouble. The only reason, and then I got ahead of you once, and then you blew by me. The only reason I took it at the end was two other guys around that last corner, that last kind of hairpin turn. There was two other guys there, and I was able to skirt around one, and they blocked you. So that's the only reason I pulled it out. But it was a lot of fun.
I didn't want to pay the $150 deductible
for the insurance if you crash the vehicle.
So we got here, we had prepaid, but then of course there's always extra fees. They hit us up for you can probably hear the race cars in the back there.
Those are not the carts, those are the actual real cars.
Yeah. We got a windsock, a head sock. We got a helmet. Our friend Alex Bell gave me his GoPro, so we should be able to get some footage of that.
That'd be good.
Maybe we can throw that on the YouTube while we're talking here. So, but that was pretty amazing. Those were fast. Those are the fastest carts I've ever been on. So. On behalf of Adam
and Michael,
we both want to say thank you
for your support.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, nice highlight to our day off.
Yeah.
We're going to go pick up our buddy Armando and go out to the falls.
Yeah.
And then this afternoon, we've got a team bourbon tasting.
Yeah.
And a team dinner. That should be a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun.
It's been a good trip so far. A lot of hills, though.
Common theme there. A lot of hills. By the way, yes. First of all, let's give credit where credit is due.
Now I have to give some credit too.
Obviously.
Because when I was in those go-karts, I was channeling everything that I had learned from Days of Thunder, the movie.
We're going to pit. Not right now.
No.
Why not? We're eating ice cream. I love it. But
yeah,
4/100ths of a second, you definitely took me, and it's really cool. Tracks that I've never seen like this that had like a 4-story drop. Now, when I say 4-story drop, for those of you who are visualizing that, it wasn't like a straight drop. It just went down like a 4-story hill, and then you had to give it all you had to get back up the hill. Except it had a hairpin turn at the bottom. So it was really interesting. And then
there was a straightaway section that you would get going 55, maybe a little bit more miles an hour, and then had a couple more curves, and it was hilly. It wasn't like the go-kart track that you think of when you're at the county fair or something like that, or you go to Branson or one of those vacation spots and they have go-karts and it's all flat. No, this was like hills and straightaways, and
really
they moved.
nice.
And when you're only like 8 inches, 10 inches off the ground, you're like right down there with the dogs. So,
you know what I found funny, and I'm sure that anyone who is listening to this show who went to brag, who raced them karts, is probably thinking the same thing that I did. You watch a safety video ahead of time, and they tell you through this one straightaway period, one cart only goes through at a time. They don't want you riding double lane carts.
No.
And I tell you what, after the warm-up lap, I thought, well, that's no big deal. 2 carts could fit through there. I wonder why they want that. And then after they put the checkered flag out, and the guy was going back and forth, we went around, you came through there and you hammered it. I could see why they only wanted 1 cart to go through. It seemed like it got narrow.
When they put the yellow flag down, or with the green flag, they put the green flag down.
Green flag down, yeah.
You're going around and you're just, you got to stay in formation. You can't pass anybody the first time around. And then, boy, when they dropped that flag, everybody just took off. Then you realize how it literally funnels you.
Yeah.
To where someone would get hurt. You might have to pay that insurance fee if you try to put 2 through there at once.
See, that's my problem. Yes, you won, and I gave you full. Their carte blanche is there, buddy. You won. But when we first got in line, we filled out all the information ahead of time. And Bragging Rights newsletter went out, and you could jump on registration. And so I jumped on the registration, and I wanted us to go around. And at that time, I read the whole thing where, it could be dangerous. You can get hurt, yada, yada, yada.
Die.
But in the line, when we get up there, she's like, well, do you want the insurance? And I'm like, insurance? And she's like, yep, it's $5.99, and it covers up to $1,000 in damage, but there's a $150 deductible. And if not, you have to pay the whole thing. And all I kept thinking about is, I don't want to pay anything. And so if she would never have said that, I probably would have been okay. But, there's pros and cons about signing up for things like this. The pro was we had a bunch of people, which was cool. The con was you did have some people who were, and I'm not trying to be insulting by any means, but extremely cautious, and of course getting around some of those people. So when we came around, it was a little bit of like, hey, get out of it. Like even on the warm-up lap, the person in front of you.
I got stuck behind that lady, and see, I think they need to They need to have people sign up and say, are you going out to be Days of Thunder or are you going out to drive Miss Daisy? And either way is okay, but that way they could maybe better match up some. Because like a couple of those ladies, were very cautious. I get it. First time they've probably ever been in that. It's fast and all that. But it makes it difficult because like the two guys ahead of us, ahead of her, they were already coming back around behind us.
Yeah.
Because we're just putting along behind the lady. And it didn't give us a real chance to really try out the course that first lap. But it was still a good time.
Wasn't Morgan Freeman in Driving Miss Daisy?
He was.
Andy
Yes, Miss Daisy.
Dufresne. I'm just kidding. Wrong movie. But so yes, we ended the part 1 of Bragg. We left you in Dawsonville on our layover day. We had a hotel that night, and we headed out to the track, the AMP track. Pretty cool place. I mean, not something that I'm used to, where there was condos where that looked over there was 2 tracks. Just for anyone who wasn't there, there was a kart track, and then there was also a 2.5 mile, whatever it was,
regular car.
And the clip we just played, just to be clear, those cars are not piped in. Those were cars that were actually on the actual racetrack. Just got lucky for 2 guys who were recording a clip for a show. So, but that was definitely. Probably one of the most exciting kart experiences I've ever had. So
yes, it was a good time. But our day wasn't over.
No,
not even close.
No. We went from there to camp. The highlights are we went there. We picked up our friends at the Bragg main camp, and you had rented a not just any kind of F-150, an extended cab, like king cab, something. I don't know. It had all kinds of room. Brand new, and we went out to the Amicalola Falls. And
only the best for you, buddy.
Well, I appreciate that. I expect the best. But that sounds really conceited. If you don't know us, we tease each other all the time. If you're a new listener, so but
he won't
Franklin
drive in any old vehicle.
Say what?
No, I'm kidding. I said he wouldn't drive in any old vehicle. I'm just joking.
Oh gosh, no. I mean, I have a little Prius, so I was out of my element in a big old truck. But
anyway, we're at I can't ever pronounce it.
Amicalola Falls, and
those we were there.
Yeah, and Franklin said, "Are you looking for a little bit of a workout? Are you looking for a medium workout? You could drive to the top." And I'm like, "We're not driving to the top. We're gonna walk." So it was 475 stairs. For anyone who's never been there, you walk about halfway up and you kind of cross this bridge, and the falls are right. You're watching the falls go below you, and it's amazing. I picture it would be great to have. It was just absolutely beautiful. From there, you could climb all the way to the top, which we did. And from what I understand, it was 475 stairs up. And because of the Smoky Mountain fires, you could actually look out onto the terrain and see like the smoke in layers. It was kind of interesting to see that.
But actually, those are the fires up in Canada.
Oh, Canada, sorry.
But that isn't the whole thing, because those 400 and some odd stairs started halfway up. The other time you had kind of a hiking path.
Yeah.
And then you get to this like middle section and you're sitting there literally over the falls. I mean, the midsection of the falls, and you're looking up, and I thought we were done. I was like, okay. And then you were like, no, we got to go over here. And then you really start the heavy duty stair climbing to get all the way to the top. I didn't realize we were going all the way to the top. So it was a breathtaking view up there. It was awesome. We got some fantastic pictures. And let me tell you, my legs were feeling it.
Coming down, there were like metal grates, and you could see through the stairs. So you really had to concentrate. It was like an optical illusion, because you could see past your stair, and you really had to pay attention. Not just walking on stairs, but making sure you didn't, take a tumble down. So.
I just about put myself out of the whole thing.
I was going to leave that out, but
Well, it wasn't on the stairs. And we got done on the stairs and we're turning to go to that midsection and it's flat, but there's a big chunk of the asphalt that was missing. And I came around and I wasn't looking there and I twisted my ankle and I stumbled around. I kept myself up, but my ankle's still swollen up a little bit. So it doesn't hurt. It didn't really on the ride. I mean, I could feel it when I was trying to take that pedal off, but it's okay.
well,
My wife's convinced you're trying to kill me, but that's okay. Every time we get together, I wind up damaging an ankle. You throw me down an escalator. I about died. You try to knock me off of a mountain cliff. I almost,
Well, listen to Michael's wife. The boy can't walk on an escalator on his own. He fell on his own. He tripped in the cabin and
Oh, I forgot. Well, you stuck me up that little ladder all the way in the ceiling section.
where was that? I can't think.
That was
Roxbury, the Double J
Roxbury,
Range.
when we were doing Odram.
Yeah.
We had these little cabins and I had to climb up this ladder because they stuck, me all the way up in this loft thing. And I slipped and ripped my entire toenail off my big toe. That was a good time. I was bleeding. It was looked like a murder scene when it was all done.
I'm the
I forgot
hotel
about
guy. You're the rental car guy. I got the hotel. I got the bed. Next. Anyways.
Fair enough. I need to learn to walk, apparently.
By the way, I still owe you for a rental car, so don't forget, bill me.
I did today. So
Okay. I will check that out.
But
then.
thanks for being honest. I appreciate it.
Well, listen. I don't want you to not rent a car next time and say, "Oh, I was waiting for you to pay me." We finished our hike to the falls, and you and I have a little tradition on bike trips. We had to get some Dairy Queen ice cream, and we did that, my friend. We got ourselves a Blizzard.
We had lunch at Dairy Queen, and then we got ourselves a Blizzard. So we just did it up right.
It was one of those grill and chills or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Can't beat a Blizzard.
Both of us have some stock in Berkshire Hathaway. Didn't hurt to put money in our own pocket.
Yeah, they own Dairy Queen, so
I had to.
It's the perfect thing.
Well,
We're
Clark,
investing in
that's
ourselves.
the gift that keeps on giving. From there, we had our team tasting, which was really cool. We had 17 individuals.
Granddaddy Mims moonshine.
Some people had a beer, some people had the moonshine, but most of all, it was a gathering of some of our team members, some of our friends we've met along the way. That was really cool. We got
And it was right next to our camping spot. So, right next to the Bragg camping area. So, they just had to walk across the parking lot and it was right there. So it was super convenient.
That was nice.
Yeah.
And from there, my friend, we had our team dinner. And wow, what a turnout. When you and I were planning that, throughout the winter and coming into spring, little did I think that when we opened the doors at the Miller's Ale House, so we sent out an Evite and to all of our team members, and we told them we could invite guests. We didn't close it to just the person. If they had friends or
family was
nearby, they could bring them. And I'll tell you what, I think you and I were both very impressed. Brian, who was our waiter, there was a little stress and frustration at the end because people were trying to catch the shuttle and the checks were coming out slow. But besides that, A+. Served everybody, got everybody in and out the best that he could. Team was there. I'm talking
33.
I think 33. Yeah,
I think 33 total. So fantastic showing. The food was good. It was just a great time. And to me, this was something that I was really, really gunning for. You were too, but it was really important to us.
Yeah.
Because we're not a normal bike club. It's not like, hey, every Saturday we get together and, ride somewhere and we get to see these people. We're kind of that weird kind of cycling group that some of us have never met. Some of us have ridden 2 or 3 rides before and multiple states before together. So this really gave us an opportunity for everybody to come together and sit there and just chit chat. And, we moved around the tables. We talked to a lot of people, and it was just a really good time.
And even though we had passed out some swag on the first day, you and your daughter, I'd like to personally thank Maya.
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you, Maya. By the way, if you don't know who Maya is, check out the show, The Confetti Experience. It's definitely a good show.
You'll meet Maya.
But you guys put together a little swag kit. You had some stickers, different depending if it was going to the Cycling Women of Leisure or the Cycling Men of Leisure. You had put together some patches and some of our collection of stickers we've gathered along the way, and we passed out some more stuff to our team. And in turn, not expecting, you and I both got a gift that night.
We did get gifts that night. Mine is right there, my friend. I got it in the spotlight.
The flask is bigger than my head. Check that out.
Very few things are larger than his head, but the flask is. Thank you, Bill. He had it wrapped and brought it to us. We opened them up, and they are 2 half-gallon metal flasks. I'm gonna take a picture, figure out some way to hook that onto me while I'm riding some ride, and I'm gonna take a picture.
The following statement is not a political statement, but it's made in China, and with the current tariffs, they went all out and got us stuff from China. So
nice. It's a big. I love it.
I love it too. It says funny. It's a half gallon. And one of the guys says, "You're not going to be able to put that in your coat pocket." I happen to know that it's kind of curved, so you could put it down the side,
right around.
That's right.
And actually, you wear bibs, so you could just slide it right down there in the side of your bibs.
That's right. So that was one of the gifts that we received along the way. So
and if I give you mine, you can slide one down both sides.
Then it'd be equal out. It's like when you carry bricks. You got 3 in this hand and 3.
Yeah, you got it level.
That's right. So that was going to get engraved.
Yes, we're definitely going to get them engraved. That's kind of cool. So thank you on that. We got a lot of gifts from people. I mean, we gave out a lot of swag, and all of a sudden we were getting a lot of different things, but it was very cool.
Well, since we're digressing, let me continue the show and tell. So Carrie and Phoenix got us an Old Dominion bonded Tennessee whiskey, and this was a very nice gift from Carrie and Phoenix.
Yes, thank you.
Also, one of our team members, Gary Fox, you have one too. Well, since I have mine out, we can just show mine.
Mine's right over there on my shelf.
Oh, yeah. Gary Fox gave us a nice bottle of... Oops, I'm messing this up. Hold on a second. Gary Fox gave us the Reformation bourbon, and so that was very much appreciated. Gave us both one, and then he even questioned you to make sure that I actually gave you yours.
Well, there are those reports, Adam, so they're just keeping you honest.
And almost messed this up, but then our subscriber, monthly supporter, Alex Bell, he provided 2 things, and I'll get to both of them. But first, he gave both of us an LaHood & Company Midnight Embers straight bourbon, but this is actually a Georgia batch.
Because you and I both like to try those smaller distilleries and things like that we haven't heard of. So that's cool.
That was definitely cool. And then for the speakeasy, it never got opened, but I made a promise to him, and I'm putting it right here in recording. Since we're going to Bourbon Country Burn.
Oh, yes.
Alex has provided a Watson Spirits Knob Creek Single Barrel Select, which will be brought with all of our stuff down to Kentucky. This will be open for the good of the camp. So,
yeah, looking forward to that. Knob Creek,
and good. I'm missing one more. I'm going to let you go with that one.
Just a moment here. I wasn't really prepared, but give me a second. Yourselves.
In the meantime, Michael is grabbing something special.
We, our friends, Scott and Cricket, brought us a bottle of Remedy Peach. It's peach flavored whiskey. It's made in Georgia. And what is really cool about Remedy is I've got another bottle over on my shelf. We went and visited the Remedy distillery 2 years ago on the ride. So we were there. We met the owner. We did a tasting. We bought some. And so they gave us a bottle of the Remedy Peach, which we need to try that because let me tell you, nothing says Georgia like peaches.
And just to speak what you talked about, mine is easy to grab. There is the Remedy that we got when we went during Bragg before.
So, we need to take this bottle to Bourbon Country Burn 2 and try a little bit of the Georgia. So, big thank you to everybody. Certainly, we were not expecting that. Apparently, everybody understands that we like whiskey. It was fantastic. And there's a lot here that we haven't tried before, so we'll get to do a little bit of experimentation, which is what I love.
The funny part is when, you and I were, as we mentioned in part one of this, logistics, rental cars, baggage, hotels, putting the bikes together. My plan all along is that I had a third bag that I used as a carry-on. And in that bag had all of the stuff to give away to our team. And in my plan all along was, on day one, we'll give out all the swag bags and I'll go down a bag. And every time we turned around, one of our team members said, no, you're not, because we're going to give you this and we're going to give you this. And I thought, good thing I got that extra bag. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Jimmy and Dave from Padre Cycle Inn. They were willing to store that bag for us throughout the week. And so Thank you.
A big shout out to them too, because they had a limit on the heaviness of the bag, and
they may have turned their head for us.
They may have went over by a pound or two, and they were cool about it. So thank you. But
it was just 1 pound.
Maybe a pound and a half at most. But we appreciate it, everybody, because you know what? I got to the airport and I was about 10 pounds over on my bag, which I wasn't when I left. But you know what? If I have to bring home extra weight, I don't mind bringing home a half a gallon flask.
That's right.
Or some local juice from Georgia, things like that. So it was okay. And it all made it. We didn't have any problems or accidents. So that was fantastic.
My first text to you was, I made it home with all the goods. My second one was, the Debrim made it home safe too. So,
because I was going to lose sleep over if that Debrim, if I didn't know about its fate.
All right. So that was the highlights that I had from our layover day. I remember when we recorded with Franklin, he said it was going to be Awesomeville and Dawsonville, and you know what?
It was.
It was a fantastic day. So
probably one of our best layover days because we did so many different types of activities. And then we had the team in there, so that just really made it good. Unfortunately, it was short-lived because we had to get on our bikes the next morning and head down the road
to Clarksville.
And we didn't take the last train, by the way.
No,
we had to pedal.
But when we were at Miller's Ale House, there's a sheriff that travels with us, and you honored him as an honorary cycling man of leisure for the week. And inside that kit, you gave him the patch and the decals. And on the sheriff vehicle, he tagged it with Cycling Men of Leisure on the back and front, which was just awesome. So
had Cycling Men of Leisure on his front and back of his vehicle for the rest of the week.
That was awesome.
Which was really cool.
We had a little bit of interesting. I have in the highlights some fogginess, but I think I messed up. I think that was the next day. So, but all I really have is we went to a Mexican restaurant that night and kept the tradition alive. So,
yeah, that day to Clarksville wasn't. I mean, there was some good sized hills. Nothing like the grades that we had on like the second day, but I mean, it was a decent day of riding. We got in early again because it was only like 50, a little over 50 miles.
Yeah.
So it was pretty uneventful, but we got to go to a Mexican restaurant, and as anyone who's listened to the show knows that we always hit a Mexican restaurant. That's kind of a tradition with us. And it was a pretty fair Mexican restaurant too. I'm a little upset.
Say what?
That Armando went with us, to mention Armando again. I was a little upset you didn't want to get the 9 liters or the 6 liters of beer
Cerveza.
or tequila. I couldn't believe it. They had a menu that was just like the ultimate menu where you could get they sold 6 liters of tequila in this big old funky thing, or 6 liters of cerveza. It's just, oh my gosh.
You could have ordered it, buddy.
I couldn't have drank it.
We were doing the
6
math.
liters. That's 3 of those big soda things. No way.
You and I were doing the math. We're like, well, there's 3 of us. That means 2 liters apiece.
We've got a 2-liter bottle of either Dos Equis or some kind of tequila. That's really a no-win for anybody.
We definitely took a risk that day because the shuttles seemed a little bit nerve-wracking. We weren't because normally the shuttles all week long were phenomenal. For some reason, we had stayed at that aquatic center before, and once we got in, we took showers and got our stuff ready, and we got in line with all of our friends and stuff, and we came into town, and we had been in that town before we ate, and she said, "Oh, what are you guys looking for?" And we're like, "Oh, what about a Mexican restaurant?" And she's like, "You want to go to the one that I like?" And we were like, "Well, yeah. I mean, if you recommend one, we'd rather go somewhere where it's good, The
other one was right down the street, 6 blocks,
right?
But
and then,
instead,
I said, "Yeah, that sounds good. Well, take us where you say is a good place." And she said, "Okay." And we're driving. And we're driving, and I'm like,
3 minutes later.
I know. I'm like, where is this place? It was a town over. I mean, it was literally she went, and I'm like,
we were no longer in Clarksville. We were in whatever town that was, but we were, and then we worried, is she going to come back and get us?
So she said, here's my phone number. Just text me when you're done eating. And I thought, oh God, this is not going to go well. This is going to be one of those stories where we're walking back all night, and then. But I texted her, and she said, and obviously I'm in transportation. She said, I can't look at my phone while I'm driving. When I stopped, I'll look at my phone. She texted us. She said, I'm on my way. And within about 9 minutes, she was there, and everything worked out great. So Melanie, if you are listening, thank you. So
yeah, it's a little gamble, but it was great Mexican food, and that was a good time. And yeah, we had stayed there at that place, I think 2 years ago. So it was a place that we were really, really familiar with. And that night it got a little wet.
Well, you flew your drone, and I
flew my drone. Yeah. I've got a drone and haven't flown it. Still working out the
logistics
piloting of said drone, but flew it over to get a picture of where we were camped.
And then you're right. Then Savannah came down, and she visited for a little bit, and then the mercy buckets, the skies opened up.
And it dumped, and it rained. I mean, it was coming down hard. So.
And then our friend Amir had given us a bottle of wine, and Armando said, well, I'm opening it up.
And we were like, absolutely. Because I had it over in the community chill cooler. And so we started on that bottle of wine too, so that was cool.
In the morning, this is where the highlights are. Where it was very foggy.
It was it started off pretty clear, and we had to hike up kind of half a block to get to kind of the starting point because we were down at the ball fields. And hiking up there, it was a little hazy off in the distance, but as we stood there waiting for the mass start, the fog rolled in, and it got pretty foggy there for the first probably 20, 30 minutes of the ride. It was beautiful, though, with the sun kind of coming through the fog and that type of thing.
And we went into South Carolina. We actually dipped a little bit into another state there for a little bit.
Second time we have ridden our bikes in South Carolina. For the folks in South Carolina, let me just say, you might have, I'm saying might, okay, I'm pretty sure you do have worse roads than Michigan.
I would agree with that.
And maybe it's just like those tertiary roads out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know, but let me tell you, it was not a good road.
All week long, you have ridden with me thousands of miles, and
Literally, yes.
On rough roads, I always tell you that my palms get a little bit numb for when I ride on those aero bars all the time.
Mm-hmm.
No problem whatsoever. Whole week was beautiful, smooth roads. Just that little section in South Carolina, I was like, whoa, I just couldn't believe it. So
I feel like Chester cheese.
Yeah.
That's the way the road was. Fortunately, we weren't there that long. Bike. But let me just say, I love South Carolina. Beautiful state. Visited there many times, but roads. We always seem to find kind of the rougher roads when we're there. But then we got to go back over the bridge, and we were back in Georgia again, so it was all good.
I have a highlight here, sir.
Okay.
We organically ended up with a bunch of people from Padres Cycle and which was in our last show in the interview, but on the highlights, we just were sat down at this
Heritage Trail
Travel Center.
It was like a historic center or something. And they had like an old log cabin there. It was right along the lake after we got back into Georgia. And there was two gals sitting on the stairs. And they were two gals that we had talked to several times at Padres. And we came and plopped down there. And then Armando came and plopped down. And maybe somebody else did. And then this other gal who was with Padres came walking up past us and go, "Oh, hey, it's the Padres crew." And it wasn't planned. It's just one of those things that gets back to what we always talk about community. And whether you're doing this ride or Ragbri or something, it's really cool to be part of a charter, because that charter becomes kind of that secondary, group or community for that week that you're there. So,
Stephanie and Kelly, this is our perfect chance to mention you. They were sitting on the porch there with us. We really got to enjoy their company. They were from Toronto.
Oilers.
And so, and love their Oilers.
They were big hockey fans.
Big hockey. But really enjoyed, also with the speakeasy that night. We got to hang out with those ladies, and that was a lot of fun. So,
and what's funny is we offered them wine the night before. They weren't interested. And it was like, okay, fine. Well, they were definitely interested in the whiskey. So they were whiskey gals, which totally cool.
And speaking of the speakeasy, which is kind of weird to say, speaking of the speakeasy, but we kept trying to have a speakeasy, and then it finally came together. Rainy night, and got everything. Just you brought some out, and
you notice that every time I bring out my big pack out and I open it up and we start drinking, that tends to draw people together. And what's really hard on this ride, I think, is that there are so many camping options. You got people camping inside, and they're over there. And then you've got people that are just doing the regular camping, and they're over there. And then you've got your charter service, which is over here. And so all of your team members and friends are spread all over the place. And trying to get them together is very difficult. But I pulled it out. We had the bottles with our team name and the year on them, and you and I started drinking, and then Armando came over, and we just started passing it out, and it's cool because it just starts to build. People come around, it's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And you just start bringing people in, which is really cool.
That was also the day that I got Chick-fil-A in a parking lot, and they had
you were hungry. I came in behind you, and you're like, we took our usual picture at the arch, and Armando was there, and you're like, "I'm going to go get Chick-fil-A." And I was like, okay. And I wasn't that hungry, but you got your Chick-fil-A.
I was definitely pushing it up some of them hills. And so by the time we got back, I was like, I saw the banner, like the Chick-fil-A banner, like flying. And I'm like, that's a chicken sandwich. Sounds good. And then when I went by,
what they wanted you to do.
of course, I mean, he was actually like pumping the smell like they do in casinos. He was just like,
It was one of those old like blacksmithing,
But I said, and it was so hot. I mean, I don't know. They must either have a heater, like where it was on a heater or something. It was, or maybe something like the pizza delivery guys had one of those things.
Had it down on this asphalt.
Yeah.
It was pretty hot that day.
I tried to make a joke, but the guy didn't think it was funny. I'm like, well, at least it's not Sunday. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And he did not find that funny at all. But
yeah, I don't think most of them probably enjoy these Sunday jokes, but
he did say my pleasure. So that was good.
Well, that's required. The company requires you to say my pleasure.
They had a little stand there with a few food trucks and stuff. So that was kind of nice.
So just stop for a second. I've got a question for you.
Okay.
So if I go up and say, this is the worst chicken sandwich I ever had, it's horrible. Do
my
they have
pleasure.
to answer with my pleasure?
My pleasure.
Which it's a good chicken sandwich. It's not Popeyes, but it's a good chicken sandwich.
And just to be fair for everybody, we started a group thread text, not started it, but it was already going where we were passing pictures back and forth, and a chicken sandwich war began on the thread of which one was better, and so that was kind of fun. Something silly and stupid, but so is riding your bike across the state sometimes.
Silly and stupid's kind of what we do.
That's right. We're pretty good at that.
Yeah.
The next morning, with tears in our eyes, we started the last day of ride into Hartwell. And you and I had to make a logistical choice. And you normally on these things, you take care of the rental car.
Yep.
And I take care of the hotels. Mm-hmm. Hopefully your hotel experience was good. If you'll please give me a 5-star rating, I'd really appreciate it.
Especially for the last one, but we'll talk about that later.
That's true. But normally I try to get my name on the television in the room somehow, some way for you.
Baranski, welcome.
But we were having a hard time finding a vehicle because our logistics this trip was when the ride was over, we were going to drive back to Atlanta by the airport and fly home. And so you said, I'll take care of the rental car. And even a few months ago, you had said to me, you were really having a hard time getting one on a weekend. So
here's the problem. Hartwell is not a huge community. I mean, it's a good sized town. Problem with it is the 2 car agencies they have in town close at noon on Saturday. Well, one is not open on Saturday. The other closes at noon. Well, there's no way we were getting to Hartwell by noon.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't going to happen. So the only the other place, well, there was another town that was closer that we went through, but again, they weren't open on Saturdays. So the only place that I could get a car was up in South Carolina, about 23 miles away. So we ran into the problem that I have to get from the end up there to get the car to come back. So we had to do some finagling, and Armando, our buddy, helped us out a little bit, but we got it all to work out.
Yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, we rode. We decided that the high school, which was where everybody ended eventually, who was riding on the last day, we decided we would take our normal ending group picture there. Since I knew you had 23 miles to go, 23 miles to come back, plus minus the time of you guys were going to take showers, and then you were going to have to deal with the rental car company. I chose to ride out to the point, get the ceremonial picture and out there, and so you and I'd be able to talk about that on this show, which was really fun going out to the point. I won't lie to you. The wind was with me, and I was literally not joking. I was down on my aero bars doing like 25 to 30 miles an hour on the way out. And then Alex Bell, our team member, and I rode back together. And let me tell you something. It was an opposite. I was going like 10 miles an hour on the way back. So,
well, there's my thing. I understand why Franklin does that, because you're there by the lake, and it's makes for great pictures. And they have this picture where there's a bunch of team members that are in the water, and you can see the actual blow up ending arch thing in the back and things like that. And it's just you got a lot more space, and it's, much more pleasant to have kind of your in party. But personally, I hate when you have an ending someplace, but then you have to ride someplace else.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing. Again, Franklin, I understand why you did it. Makes perfect sense. Personally, when I get to the end, I want to be done.
And to be fair, you felt the same way in Shoreline when we got to Traverse City, and then the next day you were supposed to go out.
Absolutely. You get to Traverse City, and then the next day you have to go. You're supposed to go all the way out to this lighthouse and back, and then the ride is done. But you're ending back in the exact same place that you started that morning.
Right.
So no, I don't like it on any rides, but that's a personal preference. And I understand why he did it. Still don't quite understand the Shoreline thing, because that made less sense to me. But and it was pouring rain most of the time we were riding, which probably didn't help me at all. But
you and I definitely both struggle with that, because we've been so used to doing rides like where you go across, bike ride across, or rag ride
you're
across.
Basically one border to the other, and you're dipping your wheels in rivers on both sides, or whatever the case might be. So, yeah.
Once I got back from riding, I went into bike deconstruction mode. We knew that with the vehicle that you had rented, that the bikes were going to have to be in the boxes to be able to transfer back to the hotel by the airport. And so I put the bikes, I took them apart, which was obviously easier to separate them. But then, of course, you're protecting everything, getting it. And there was a lot of interest of people around me, like, oh, are you guys flying? And, a part of me was like, nope, I'm just taking it apart so I can put it in this box.
For something to do.
And I know they were trying to be conversational,
sure.
And
absolutely.
I was just trying to get done. But then there was some serious questions about, why do you do it that way? Why are you taking the derailleur off? Well, I don't want it to be damaged when I'm flying. Oh, I never thought about that. So it was cool, because I could actually help out people,
educate some people.
Yeah, educate why we were doing it. And then they said, oh, the pool noodles is such a good idea. And so it was kind of neat. And then our friends Kelly and Stephanie were waiting for their ride to go start to Toronto. And she's like, you boys really are flying home. So
we weren't joking.
And so luckily I got the bikes broke down, and then you were still ways away. And at that time our friend Margaret from Super Stragglers, I said, is there a vending machine somewhere here? And she said, it only takes cash. And I thought, this is 2025. Every vending machine takes credit cards. So there was a McDonald's. I walked up there and got just a drink. And then by the time I got back, you were ready, and pretty uneventful trip back to the hotel.
But by the way, you did a great job putting my bike away. I appreciate that.
Did you build it?
No, but
Okay.
you did. I mean, I've opened it up and that type of thing. Now, I have been out riding on the roads. I haven't gotten a very long rides in because Father's Day and all that, but I did do 5 miles yesterday, just a quick, because it was
Nice.
like 30 minutes before it was getting dark. So it's like, I'm just going to hop on my bike. I did a quick 5.5 miles, but I'm using my old Le Mans.
Nice.
It's like, I haven't got around to getting the other one. I got to get it put together, but I can at least, ride the Le Mans. So I got to get some road time with the big ride coming up here next month. So
I have a couple things to say about our bookend of our trip once we got to the Renaissance Hotel. First of all, beautiful hotel. If you are looking for an airport hotel at the Atlanta airport, the Renaissance Courtyard, the extra
Renaissance
$20.
Courtyard.
What did I say?
No. You said it right. I'm just emphasizing that because there is another Renaissance at the
that's true.
airport. So
There's a $20 upcharge to have a runway view, and it's worth every
dime,
every penny, baby. We sat out there and watched the planes take off and land, and at one of the busiest airport, and it was kind of interesting. Like, some of the planes when they were landing were so loud, like older planes, and the newer ones would just be like come in and land like okay, we're here.
Let me tell you, Virgin Air, I don't know what kind of planes they're buying. They are the quietest planes I've ever heard. I mean, you'd hear the new ones come in and they would be less deafening. And I mean, we're like, I don't know, a quarter of a mile away or whatever.
Right.
But then those Virgin Airline would come in and they were even quieter.
Well,
So,
Richard Branson wants to save money. He's a kite surfer. He wants it nice and quiet.
Well, that's great. But I think he's probably spending more money on his planes to get it nice and quiet because that was impressive.
There was a couple things that happened there that I think that are noteworthy for our little show.
Okay.
You and I made a choice to return the rental car the night before so we didn't have to mess with it in the morning, which was probably a huge plus. It was a good idea. And then once we returned the rental car, we took the train down to where all the shuttles are to the airports. To all the airports, to all the hotels. Sorry. When we were there, just Mother Nature decided to open up rainstorm, windstorm. I wasn't sure we were going to make it.
They're doing construction and the wind was blowing from the area that they were doing construction. And they, somewhere in that construction had, I'm assuming, corrugated panels hooked to something, but I don't think they were completely hooked. I think they were like one side was hooked, the other side wasn't, because then when the wind blew, you started hearing this corrugated thing like slapping. And yeah, I thought at any time it's going to swing over here and just slice me in half because we're underneath that viaduct waiting. And it was just like this wind tunnel. So anything that would have broken apart would have just came straight through there.
I was just picturing like, some of those like, I forget what they're called, but like where movies where people die. I mean, there's, can't think of it right now, but that piece of metal is going to go because it sounded like it was just buzzing in the wind. It was going to break off and then just like decapitate me. I just was like, this is it. This is how I die. How was your trip?
I got to say, I was thinking of Monty Python the whole time. It takes off an arm and I'm yelling, it's just a flesh wound.
It's just a flesh wound.
It was kind of scary because that wind was just whipping up and there was no place for us to go. I mean, we were just stuck there waiting for the bus. So
I think the trip was A++, 99.999 positive. But
the caveat. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam has a caveat.
I'd like to take the floor for a second.
Floor is yours, sir.
I hope that the people who were rude to us at 6:40 in the morning at that hotel had the worst travel day of their life. I hope they missed flights. I hope that it was a day of hell. Okay, I'm done. You and I got up early because we asked about the shuttle to get to the airport, and we had our bike boxes. We had our luggage. We had actually compacted everything down to bare minimum. We both had, you had one bag, your backpack, and your bike box.
Yep.
And I had my two rollers and the bike box. My backpack was on my back. And you and I were out there. They told us that the shuttle ran every 20 minutes. And you and I were out there at 6:45. Nobody else was around us. It was a ghost town. By the time that 15 minutes came, we could look out of our peripheral vision that more people were like encroaching on this little area. And so you and I made a decision to get the bike boxes ready to be a little bit defensive. We were going to put these bike boxes on this motor coach. Guy opens the door. I start putting on the bike boxes. Literally,
everybody starts coming right up behind you,
right on the shuttle, right behind me,
right around me and my big bike box, and follows you up. And you haven't even got the bike box up the stairs, and they're just like crowding in. Mm-hmm. And it's like, can you not? And I totally agree with you. It's like, can you guys not? It's not going anywhere. We were clearly here first by 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. We're just loading. I mean, to me, I would be like, oh, well, go ahead and get your stuff on and then we'll follow you. But these people came around both sides of me and were just tailgating you right up the thing. It's like, come on, people.
And walked literally trampled me, like bumped into me and everything.
Around you.
And so then by the time now I try to get off the bus again. And while I'm trying to get down the stairs, people are just coming up the stairs like crazy. And I'm like, I cannot believe this. This is amazing. I mean, I just can't believe this. I just spent a week with 1,000 of the nicest people in the world, waiting in lines for bathrooms, food trucks, SAG stops. How are you? Go ahead. Nice day. Nice to see you. Polite, 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 polite. And now this is how it's going to end. And so I'm like, okay, don't, Adam, don't. Don't do it. You got too much to lose. Don't say anything. And so literally our bags are next to the driver. You and I are both standing.
But let me also say, you violated the law.
I did violate the law because I had to stand in front of the federal yellow standee line. I just felt like I felt so dirty.
You should have, but there was no yellow line there, and the bus driver was totally cool with it.
He was. He didn't even stop me. But
he won't get a job, and
Hey. I might even hire him for what he did.
He was a nice guy.
So the gentleman, it's about a 10 minute drive from the hotel. Let's just say 10 minutes. I don't know. But he actually tried to help us. And the reason why he did is he's giving an entire speech about, ladies and gentlemen, the international terminal. I'm going to try to say it. Here's what he said. Ladies and gentlemen, the international terminal is so backed up, I've been given special permission to actually come and curbside, and I'll be pulling up right near curbside check-in. And he turns around and he looks at me and he says, I'm be coming right to curbside check-in. and he and I have this like mental lock. He watched everybody be a complete beep, and he was basically telling me, hey, if you get off the bus and you get in line for curbside check-in, all of those people will have to wait for you. And I looked at him and said, I love this man. And so I got off with my first bag, whipped out my license, went to curbside check-in, and she's like, how many bags will you have? And I said 3. I have 2 and an oversized. And she said, okay. I said, some of it's still on that bus. And she said, no problem. When they come off, you just bring them over to me. Don't worry about it. And so then gave her my license, checked in, and then the line started to develop right there for curbside check-in. And this guy starts to scream at me, and he goes, well, I guess there's no such thing as a line. And Michael, you can tell him if I'm lying.
Ooh, yeah.
You lost it,
but that's okay.
That was it. I lost it. I snapped.
To your defense, the line was coming off to your left there, and there was you and this other father and his 3 sons, and then me. And these other people had started to go inside and came around, and they were trying to form a line to the right after there was already a line to the left. So he wasn't even in line.
Right.
I mean, he should have been behind me when he's like sitting here making these rude comments. And it's like, you lost it. But you know what? These people were just flat out really rude. And I think that just shows about the cycling community. We spent a week. I don't remember anybody being rude or disrespectful to me or anybody else. Didn't see it, didn't hear it. Somebody's like, if you're in line for the bathroom and somebody's really got, hey, fine, go. I mean, if, you're standing there ready to get a peanut butter sandwich and the line maybe was like converging. Oh, yeah, go ahead. That's fine. And then we get to the airport and then we're back to reality of just people being rude. And it's like, so.
Yeah, I'll edit myself because you and I made a deal a long time ago, 4 seasons ago. But he said, I guess there's no such thing as a blank in line. And now I unloaded. I just said, well, I was in blank in line before you were. And then the lady, God bless her, she first was going to give me my bike to roll into the building. And she's like, oh, honey, just give me that bike. I'll take care of it for you, And very, very nice. You and I both passed on some nice gratuity. She was great to us. So,
and I think also what helped too on that is not only did she see how big a jackwagon he was, we both had bikes, and at that point, it's like, you know what, just do it. But she was a really super nice lady, great customer service. He was just completely out of line, but.
And then, rare form, you and I both got through TSA pre-check really fast. I was impressed. So, you had to do a little bit of jockeying with some stuff because
I said, I was 10 pounds over, and the lady's like, whoa, you're like at 80 pounds. She's like, I need you to move something out of that, or I have to charge you $200. And I thought, you know what? If you're over, maybe they charge me $50 or something. Nope, 200. And it's like, I might pay the 50, the 200. Nah, I'm not. So I started like pulling some stuff out and shoveling it in my other bags and stuff. And I got down to 74 pounds, I think. And she's like, that's close enough. And I said, awesome. Thank you.
And then we ended up in the Sky Club. And
yes,
we've got a couple clips to play here. So the first clip that I think that we can play. Well, first of all, I'm getting ahead of myself. On behalf of myself and Michael, we want to thank our leisure community for listening to these shows. We know that we have a bunch of new people from the time that we spoke to people along the road. What is this all about? I keep seeing this name everywhere. What is it? We explained what it was. And we know based upon our numbers from the last couple of days that we have
been blowing up.
Many new listeners.
Yes.
Many new listeners.
The numbers have been blowing up. It's beautiful.
So if this is your second time listening to us now, we'd love to thank you for checking us out. If you are a normal leisure family, of course, we thank you as well. Mm-hmm. But we actually want to encourage all of you to maybe share some of your cycling stories. So if you think you've got a good story from any adventure that you've been on and you think it's good, will you please take some time to follow us, write us, let us know. We'd like to have some organic cycling stories on the show.
Absolutely. It was a great week. We thank the team, everybody who came up to us and was like, hey, we really like your show. We like what you're doing. The folks that gave us some gifts and things like that, completely unnecessary, but we certainly appreciate it. It means a lot to us. It was just a fantastic week. And I don't know, we may actually have one or two people that wants to go ride with us in Indiana. So we'll just have to see how that goes.
If you are looking for an adventure with us, we have 2 left for the year. We do have the rainride.org on July 19th, and September 25th through September 28th will be at the Bourbon Country Burn. We extended, if I could speak English, we extended some open arms, and we've invited many people. Those were legitimate invites. We do have a camping site, and I don't care if we fill every square inch. Please come down and join us. So
we have some whiskey to share with people.
We definitely do. We are always willing to share. So
absolutely.
The first clip, we have 3 things that we're going to have left. We're going to do. Even though he's in Paris today, I saw that he rode his bicycle in Paris today. We have the executive director from Bragg, Mr. Franklin Johnson. Before flying out, he was willing to join you and I and sit down for a wonderful little clip, and we're going to play that. And so we'll play that now. Well, Michael, as usual, once we go to Georgia, we have to get together with the executive director of Bragg, the second largest bike ride across the state, Georgia. What a beautiful area. Lots of hills. I think this man might have been befuddled or muddled his name under people's breath throughout the week, but I am proud to have, once again, executive director of Bragg, Mr. Franklin Johnson. Hey, buddy, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. So glad you invited me back, even after I made you ride all those hills. So
I will admit I was one of those people that on a couple of those hills, I was perhaps maybe muttering your name and maybe some other words. But you know what? You called them foothills. From where I'm from in the flatlands of Kansas, those are mountains. But you know what? Adam and I both made it. So that's the important thing. And it was beautiful. I can't complain about the beauty of it. And there was, it was well worth it. But you did. I'm sure you were laughing inside.
No, I was worried. There were some. I think it was Johnson Mountain Road too. Was probably the worst of it on day 2. But then after that, it was fine. After you got the worst of it out of the way, rest of the week was more enjoyable for sure.
So, our good friend from Team Kermit this year, Manderloo, said that was Medusa Hill, but you're saying that it was Johnson Mountain Hill. That's what it's called.
Yeah, Johnson Mountain Road.
Oh my gosh!
I know, very appropriate. Appropriately named.
Oh, I gotta tell you, I was riding with our good friend Gary, and he's a team member of ours, and he said he's kind of joking. He said, "Well, I better stop talking. I got to get ready for this hill." And I could see it on my computer. Don't get me wrong; I could see the elevation. But when we made that turn and it kept going up and up and up, and I'm like, "Oh yeah!" And I fully admit, unclip walk. 90% of the people walk. So
yeah, I felt bad on that one. As I was driving SAG in between towns and going up and over that hill, there was definitely more walkers than riders. That's pretty atypical that day and that route. So they're not all that hilly. We go north every once in a while to appease the people who like the hills, and it's a cooler weather and beautiful views and lots of waterfalls, as you guys got to see. So the northern, you're going to pay for it with the hills, but you also get a lot of payoff with the views and the weather.
Yeah, Michael and I were lucky enough to we rented a car in Dawsonville, and we actually drove to the Amicalola Falls, and that was just absolutely beautiful. And Franklin, give credit where credit is due. You said, "Well, Adam, are you looking for a workout?" And I'm like, "I actually am." And so you said, "Start from the bottom." Well, 475 stairs up and 475 stairs down. That was absolutely beautiful. And then, of course, with the Amicalola Falls, we rode our bikes there, which is really cool. I mean, those were we did something.
They were
Michael
waterfalls.
and I did something we'd never done. We actually went hiking on a bike trip, so
which is cool because normally, I mean, we're out in nature, but here we were actually left the bikes and we were actually hiking, and it was a fun component. And these were actually waterfalls. It wasn't like a little 6-inch of water going over. I mean, this is like falling water and just beautiful. So well done on the waterfalls.
Yeah.
Could have backed a little off on the mountains, but that's okay.
Hey, you can't have one without the other. You can't have like a 600-foot waterfall without a hill. Yeah.
Now, that is a good point. You can't have one without the other. So, but it was well worth it.
What about an elevator? We don't need to ride up it. I'm just kidding. Michael and I have always supported e-bikers, and we've always said that it allows the person to extend their ability to ride and get out and have a good time. Although, just as a caveat to that, there were a couple of times when I'm doing everything in my power to climb that hill, and someone I hear, and I was like, oh man. So
that's funny. My mom, she's ridden probably 25 brags, and this year she rode an e-bike, and she said she did feel slightly guilty as she was passing people coming up the hills this year.
Slightly guilty, not completely guilty, just slightly guilty.
Yeah, not 100%. It's like, reach down into the basket and get a piece of candy. How are you doing over there? But,
as long as they don't brag at camp about like their Strava or they got a KOM or something like that, then it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Something else that people don't ever mention, we always have talked about when we've supported, not because you're on, but just in our own life, we always say that your SAG support, EMS. I think it's we need to mention John and Steve.
Absolutely.
First of all, Steve, I promised him he tagged the sheriff unit with Cycling Men of Leisure decals, and to me, I thought that was our official pace car. I mean, that's kind of how I thought. But you're also your rest stops. I really thought you knocked it out of the park. A lot of beautiful rest stops that you had. The one intimate wedding venue where the homeowner said, we can hold like 60 people, and I'm like, where are you going to park 60 people? So. And then the one right before the Amicalola Falls, where the dam and stuff. And it was kind of funny because as people were leaving that rest stop, they're like, "Look, there's the falls." It was like the overflow or the, I forget what you call that right now, but I'm like, no, Armando, that's not the spillway. Yeah, spillway. Yeah. But no, that's and then of course John. It was funny every time I hear a motorcycle, I'm like, here he comes. So, but
they did a great job. Your staff at the like Adam said, your staff at the break areas were fantastic and phenomenal. And I got to say, there was plenty of snacks, both healthy and unhealthy, at all the stops. So, I mean, nobody could really complain. There was something there for everybody.
Good. Yeah. We, that team, everyone there had done it before. So they kind of knew the ropes and knew what to do, and got it knocked out. So, I mean, and we've got great volunteers. John's been coming for 20 years. Steve's been coming for like 15 years. All these guys have been putting in the time and effort into it, so they know exactly what they're doing and what the riders need and kind of when they need it. So we're very fortunate to have a good group of volunteers to come out and help us every year.
So when we talk to you, I always think about like questions if I didn't have a podcast that I would ask you. And I think that one of the questions that people would probably have at home is, are you willing to talk about quantity? How many riders rode?
Yeah, so we started just a little over 800 and then finished just right at 900. So it was a good turnout for a mountain year. Usually we know we'll take a hit. So like last year we had over 1,200 folks for Atlanta to Savannah. That's a pretty popular route. So we're down a little bit in a year. The hills scare folks, So
yeah,
that's just the nature of the beast. Every time we go up north, that kind of happens to us.
And no serious injuries? I mean, a couple just small injuries?
No. Collarbone, and one girl got her back pretty good, and that was it. So I mean, knock on wood, we got pretty fortunate. Nothing super serious, and that's what I tell people all the time. Statistically, there's a wreck or how many ever hundreds of thousand miles, but if you get 1,000 people going 400 miles, that's 400,000 miles. So statistically, something's going to happen, and it's always something silly. One girl, her front bag fell off and got caught in her fork, and then she ended up going over the handlebars. Actually snapped her fork, carbon fork. So
wow.
Yeah, she was. John was on the scene immediately and had everything to get her all stented up, if you will, and hold that collarbone. So, and EMS was there almost immediately. So, very fortunate. Nothing serious happened.
Well, that's good. That's really good. For those who didn't ride it and you're listening to us, we got really lucky with the weather.
Very lucky with the weather.
There was no rain on riding days, at least that I know of. Just in the evenings, couple nights. I know, Michael, you and I sat at Padres camp, and the Mercy buckets opened up, and you and I and Savannah and Armando were huddled together under a tent trying to make the best of it. So.
Yeah, it came down heavy that night. There was a couple of days where it's forecast to have a little bit of rain, but we missed it. And the first 2 days, first 2 or 3 days, the weather was, it didn't get that. It got warm, but it didn't get hot during the day. In fact, in the nights, it was chilly. It was good sleeping weather. The last couple of days, it got up into the 80s, but I was just happy that there wasn't any rain, because those hills would not have been fun if there would have been some moisture on them.
Yeah, the first day was like 72. It was incredible. Yeah. And like, luckily, thank God, we hit the perfect window where like the whole week before Bragg poured every single day. And I've been at home, we're 2 days now, and it's rained every single day since I've been back. So we really hit a great weather window.
I tell you what, we were staying at a hotel near the Atlanta airport, and we had a rental car to get from Hartwell, but Michael, you rented it from South Carolina. But we drove back to the hotel, and then we figured, you know what, we'll just take the car back tonight, so it's just out of our area. So we take the rental car back. We walk and take the train from the rental car, going to catch the shuttle back to the hotel. And oh my gosh, this windstorm came out of nowhere. Michael and I thought we were going to like get our heads cut off because of like metal. You kept hearing this metal going like at the airport. They're doing some kind of construction. It was crazy. And I'm like, well, I'm glad that didn't happen earlier today. So
the shuttle pickup. Your Atlanta Motorsports Park experience, because you didn't get to ride around the track, but I heard you did get to ride go-karts. Actually, I saw you ride go-karts.
We did. I think we need to talk about Dawsonville, not just the track. I mean, I highly enjoyed myself.
Just stop. Now, our guest has asked a specific question, and you're sounding like a politician.
I'm sorry. There, I knew I had my buttons there.
And you're skirting it like a politician. Come on.
Filibuster.
There's video evidence, right? And then there's a photographic evidence of the times, and I think those are conflicting.
Well, yeah, because here's what I'm going to say. For the record, did Mr. Michael, my co-host, my good friend, in the end on the scoreboard have a better by 4/100ths of a second? Yes. I will. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. But I am frantically searching for a video that the executive director of Bragg, the man, the myth, the legend, gave me, and I'm stalling because
But does it really matter in the middle of the Indy 500 who's ahead? It doesn't matter. It's who at the end. And I will point out one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
During the ride, Franklin did say I was way cooler than you because I stopped when he was out there giving out the icy things. And you just blew right on by him like you were just too good to stop. So
you can see here, Adam is in the front. Michael is behind.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
When the checkered flag dropped, that's all that matters, right?
That's right.
For $5.99 and $150 deductible, I paid for the insurance, but I wasn't willing to pay the $150. I have to tell you, of all of the, when I was a kid and I lived in Southern Illinois, I had a go-kart, and but never have I been on a kart like that, and not a geographical track. So if anyone's never been there. There was a 4-story drop, not straight down, but 4-story hill that went down and then 4-story to come back up. And when you were watching the safety video, it said, okay, and then you're going to come to the fastest part of the track, one cart at a time. Well, when we were first doing our first lap, you're under the yellow flag and you're kind of going slow. I'm like, oh, this is nothing. You speed that thing up to like 60 miles an hour, and then that little lane gets really skinny. And so in the beginning, I did overtake Mr. Michael Sharp. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm not going to crash this thing. I don't want to get hurt. And I got to get across the state and I got jammed up. So
didn't want to get hurt.
I love having a sensor button.
It was great. So that the go-kart track is very hilly. But then around the go-kart track, there's a F1 designed 2-mile actual racetrack. That's really cool. And we got to ride on that, which was extraordinary. I didn't think it was going to be that cool, but everybody was super into it. There was one guy, Steve Solomon. He actually brought a radio and was playing F1 car sounds as he was riding around the track. Cool. So it was hilarious. But then there's a part. There we go.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So he was playing that going around the track. So it was really cool. Everybody was getting into it, kind of like a racing, like car racing mentality going around. And we're the only ones on the track. Obviously, there wasn't any cars on there. But there is one back part of the track, of the actual racetrack, that is so steep. There was an electric trike that was trying to go up the hill, and some riders in front of her slowed down because, as I get steeper, they slow down. And she couldn't speed up or get around them. So it was so steep. She and the bike couldn't keep up, and it actually started rolling backwards and she flipped over. So I didn't know a racetrack could be that steep. But I mean, it was steeper than anything on our actual road ride.
I would be remiss not to tell you that was an officially cycling woman of leisure.
It was.
I'll remain nameless.
Yeah, yes. I am not going to mention her name, but it was one of our members, and thankfully we saw her the next day, and she just had a little bit of a shoulder scratch. So besides that, she was maybe a little ego, but besides that, definitely okay, and finished the ride. So
she was smiling about it. So
yeah, it was crazy. I actually saw it happen on the drone because I saw everybody bunch up around. So I flew over there to see. I was like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if she went down, but you could not tell from the drone. You couldn't tell the elevation. So
Now, the big question is, Franklin, we raced a little early, and when we were done, you were getting prepared to race. How did you do?
I came in fifth out of 20 people. I came in fifth, but I felt like I never got a clean lap in because they started in two lines. They sent the left line first, and I was in the second line. So everybody got out ahead of me, which was fine because I passed a bunch of people, got out in front. But by the time I did that, somebody ran my mom off the track twice. So that was a yellow caution flag. And then one of our baggage toters actually hit a logistics guy from Bragg and knocked the whole chain off the go-kart. That's how hard he hit him. And then took another caution flag. So I feel like over half the time we were riding under the yellow flag. So
you just had to stay where you were at and you couldn't pass and all that.
Yeah, so it worked out. I mean, we finished fifth, but
he bought the $5.99 insurance.
Bragg team members getting aggressive there.
Oh, it was wild. Yeah, my mom and my brother-in-law had to walk off the course because they couldn't recover their go-karts.
Oh, wow.
No. To get them back in. Yeah. So, yeah, it was wild.
Gee, Adam, they weren't worried about the insurance.
Maybe the insurance was a sham. Maybe they weren't going to charge, and you shouldn't have paid the $5.99, Adam. So
it was a good time. It was a great activity, Like to say. So
yeah.
I know when you recorded with the route announcement, you said like Talladega Nights, Dawsonville, and Dawsonville. It really was a great day. I mean, and yes, Michael, you won, if that's what you need to hear. But
I didn't say anything. But I was moving on.
From the nature and the beauty, Georgia, besides like flying through or going down 75, I mean, one of the things that Bragg has done for me is really let me see like the back roads of Georgia, and especially like I know 2 years ago you teased me and you said, "Well, hope you've been training." And I have to tell you, thankfully this year I had trained, and so the hills were not nowhere near as bad. So but I tell that story to my friends and my family, and we get a good laugh when you're like, "Well, I hope you've been training." And obviously I had not been training 2 years ago. So, no, I just we just had a great time. We had I'll say we had a team of 43. I do feel bad. One of the ladies had to bow out before, but and brought us down to 42. But we had an honorary member of Phoenix. We'll mention him, and so we had a big showing. Lots of love. Even the cycling women against leisure, they turned out all right. I love Savannah's picture she put up as the newspaper clipping. I thought that was funny. So, great time. I just thank you so much for coming on here, and lots of love and support from everybody in Georgia, and many people came up and said that they actually signed up after you were on and listened to the show, and so that it makes us feel like we're providing a service as well. So, Michael, you got anything else, buddy?
No, I just, you, I think, said it all. We certainly appreciate it. This was our 4th year. Franklin, as always, did a great job. Well organized, lots of fun. I've got no complaints. So just keep doing what you're doing. And we would really love to hear from you at the end of this year. And maybe we could do another ride release podcast with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys for the whiskey. I'll add it to the collection. So that's a really cool thing. So I got the custom beer and the custom whiskey. So
it's right here. Well, this is not your bottle, but right there, a little Kansas City style whiskey for you. So
yeah. Well, actually, we weren't sure. We always talk about having a speakeasy. We'll end with this. We weren't sure, and we tried one night, and it just with the rain, it just kind of fell apart. But then the last night in Toccoa, yes, sir, we ended up under your red Bragg tent and down there on the football field, and we got to pass out a bunch, and a lot of people came by, and
good.
It was an organic thing that just kind of grew. And then when the rain came, your very large advertisement tent turned out to be a good place to hang out before we all decided to finish the evening. So, but no, great times. We're lucky to do it, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right. Well, it's always good to have Franklin on. We appreciate him joining us and sitting with us. We always have a good time with him. I'm sure he's exhausted. By the way, today is his wife's birthday, so I know we're recording on the 16th of June. So, Heather, if you are enjoying our show, as you do many times, on behalf of Michael and I, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
The other thing that I'm going to do is play our little clip from the Sky Club. You and I had a little bit of a closing remarks. I'm kind of glad that it's been a little bit because I haven't heard it since we recorded it and I edited it. So I'm going to play that now, and hopefully this works.
All right.
Well, here we are. We are in the Sky Club. We have made it another state, another time across the great state of Georgia.
Yes, we have.
A lot of logistical things to do a trip like this, from packing to flying to building bikes to breaking down bikes. And by the way, riding those bikes across the...
No, there is that little thing too. So
we had lots of elevation, some falls. I mean, foothills and falls, beautiful falls that we saw.
Extreme elevation.
There was some the Medusa, Three Sisters.
The three-headed Medusa.
Three-headed Medusa. But overall, I thought we'd just record this before you have to get on your plane.
Absolutely.
I'm going to enjoy the Sky Club for a little bit longer, although they've changed my gate about 4 times. So we'll see what's going to happen before I get out of here.
Tell you what, they're going to put you on T. I guarantee it. You're going to have to go out to the outpost.
We are so thankful for all of our friends. When we get back in the studio, we are working on an outline already. We're going to try to get this show out as fast as we can. I don't know. There's so much to talk about.
Oh, we've got a lot to talk about. We met a lot of new friends, got to see a lot of our old friends, just some beautiful terrain. Got to do some things we hadn't done on rides before, which was kind of cool. So we're going to have lots to talk about, and the next couple of shows should be really good.
It should be. You know, one of the things I keep thinking about is, you're right, we did something we normally haven't done. In the past, we've rented a car, which we did this time, and we've driven to distilleries.
Which we did this time.
We did as well. But we actually drove and hiked.
We did some hiking,
yes.
up the one of the waterfalls. So that's a good story too. So
yeah, there's 475 stairs up and down.
And Michael almost took himself out of the ride. But you have to listen to the episode to find out all about that.
You know, they did try to put a patch hole there, but it was still very.
It was iffy.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, for those who live in this area, going up the stairs, no problem. But I had an optical illusion with the grates, the way they work.
Well, you can see through them. It's a problem. It's in your eyes. Are like, do you look at the grates, or are you looking through the grates to what's below it? And it can mess with your eyes, especially when you're trying to hike down them. So.
It was definitely a little bit different, but you know, overall, to get to this point, our bags are checked, and now we just have to get our bags in our respective states, and you'll go back to your central time zone. I know you're going to be an hour behind everybody again.
Yeah, I'm going to be back centralized, so everything will be good.
Yeah, well, I think you'll be an hour behind everybody else, but that'll be all right. No, it's been a great time. I just want to make sure that we thank a few people here before we get home and get in the studio. I think we definitely need to thank Executive Director of Bragg, Franklin Johnson, for all of his support. Stephanie, John, EMS, John.
Jimmy and Dave at Padres.
Jimmy and Dave.
And their crew.
And of course, Steve the Sheriff, who helped us out. And
he's sporting some new Cycling Men of Leisure
the official Cycling Men of Leisure chase car. Luckily, we weren't being chased. So, I just wanted to get a little piece here while we had the microphones out. And we're in one of the brand new Sky Clubs here on the D Terminal. It's one of the new ones. It's very, very nice.
Very nice. Breakfast was good, so can't complain about that.
Next time, maybe we fly out of a different airport than Atlanta. That was a little rough. We met some
yeah.
very fine individuals, and we'll leave it at that this morning.
Yes, fine individuals.
Fine is the nicest thing I can say on a podcast where you and I agreed to keep it clean. So we were boarding our bikes, and boy, I tell you what, everyone was just in a big darn hurry. You know, I live in the city, but we're a little more respectful.
We're a little bit, yeah.
But in true Adam fashion, I won in the end. When they were all curbside checking, they were all getting in line. I jumped right in front of everybody and said, thank you. And then when I got yelled at a little bit by a guy, and I said, he said, I guess a line doesn't mean anything. Well, that's funny.
That's because you had to step away to get your other bag.
That's right.
He thought you were cutting him, but you weren't.
No.
Yeah. Oh, well.
It's all good. We're here. We're heading home. Safe travels.
And we had zero mechanical issues. I mean, a little tweaking that we had to do, but no flats. And I mean, none of us went down or had any injuries. So that's always the best part of the ride, is when you can get through it without those.
The noble steed has made it across another state. You know, I was thinking we should get, you know how on airplanes when they have kill strikes and they have like...
Oh, yeah, that would be cool.
We
like
should get
some little stickers to signify the states that we've made.
When someone's like, what is that? And we can say, well, that's how many states this bike has made it across.
That would be a great idea. Like in the old like Corsair aircraft fighting in the Pacific and things.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when we were heading out, but
we'll work on that.
I personally finished the ride with Alex Bell, and that was great to finish with one of our monthly supporters, and so that was awesome. We will dive into our team and all of the wonderful things,
all the adventures and the misadventures that we had.
That's true.
We've got some good stuff. So
we definitely had. We had a few things that wasn't expected. Some people had to bow out early,
unfortunately,
one reason or the other. And we'd like to just, from now, before we get home, just wish them the best. And health, obviously, health is number one. So with that, did you have anything else from here?
Well, no, but today is, in fact, a great day for a bike ride.
It is. Some of that was repetitive, but yeah, those were our closing thoughts from the end of our trip. So, just want to open the floor to you, sir, before we go into our normal. I know many are looking forward to our listener spotlight. Any closing remarks, sir?
No, I think we've covered it. It was a great trip. Looking forward to next month when we're going to attempt the single day ride across to Indiana. Looking forward to that, and we'll go from there. So no, I don't have anything else that at this time.
In that case, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for listener spotlight.
All right. Listener spotlight. This is a good one.
St. Louis.
Okay, we're done.
Okay, thank you. I'm just kidding.
All right. Here is the hints for this episode's listener spotlight. If you're a cat, you would love this city. This would be the city for you. Mm-hmm. History can be found all over this city. You can even get a bit of local culture at a well-known fast food restaurant. The city owes a great deal to a church.
Okay.
That probably gave it away, didn't it? You're right. It's St. Louis. No, I'm kidding. Here's another one. You could retire in style with the help of one of this city's water features.
Wow.
Yeah. This city's early history is associated with a distinctive type of clothing. Easily associated type of clothing. And this city has some association with Big Brag 2025. Alex,
like to retract my statement of St. Louis.
Alex, I'll take listener spotlight for 500, please. So there we go.
Okay. I'm going to close with, we have a new monthly subscriber, Joe Grammer.
Thank you, Joe. Yes.
You have joined the ranks of Dennis Keeler, Alex Bell, and Scott Carwick. So the four of you, we'd like to thank you personally. By the way, all of you at Big Brag who received some of our swag, you can now thank Joe Grammer, Dennis Keeler, Alex Bell, and Scott Garwick. We took the funds that they give us and we distributed between our team and bought some swag and some. We appreciate the donation.
Yeah, we're not making anything off this, but we're happy to pass that along to our team.
Hey, you know what yesterday was for me?
Sunday.
A great day for a 50-mile bike ride, baby.
Oh, I feel so bad. I didn't get 50 miles in. I barely got 5 in, but hey, good job. I am getting out there, and I will be pushing it before Indiana next month.
In your fairness, sir, you have a family. I went to Ohio to move my father-in-law into a memory care center. Came back on Sunday. I had all day without having anything to do. I did have dinner with my parents in the evening, my father. You get a pass. I had nothing to do, and so I said, okay, I'm going to go out and put some miles on the bike. I did some adjusting like we did when we were in Georgia. Mm-hmm. A couple things needed, even once I built it in the garage, a couple things needed to be adjusted. So with that being said, yesterday was a great day
for a bike
ride.
Thank you for coming along with Adam and Michael on Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure. If you have enjoyed this, please subscribe to the show on the podcast app of your choice.
Hey, we just wanted to remind you that we've got some really cool products at our jersey and our swag store.
That's right. You can visit cyclingmenofleisure.com. At the top of the page, you'll find our stores page. Click there. There's 2 QR codes. The one on the left has a J on it. That's the store for the jerseys. The one on the right is just a swag store. Has all kinds of different items. Kind of customizable. You can kind of make the swag the way you want it. If the QR codes are giving you an issue, don't worry. Underneath, there's 2 buttons that you can click on. Thank you, and have a great day.